Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January the 19th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And the news of today is really the news of yesterday, where really what became the talk of college football. I mean, I saw it on Barstool Sports. I saw it on ESPN because it's one of the more unique stories right now in college football, and that's Miami Hurricanes tight end Cam McCormick being allowed and declaring that he will come back for a 9th season, and really does good things for the Miami tight end room from a leadership standpoint, for the entire team, really, that is rebuilding a culture and can use an older guy that's been through the wars in college football to serve a leadership role in the locker room. And then, of course, for a tight end position that kind of, was a little bit invisible last season. And one of the agendas for 2024 is unquestionably going to be to get the tight end back into the Miami offense, rather. So without further ado, we have a special guest for today's show, and that is Cam McCormick himself. And Cam, welcome to Good Morning CaneSport, and congratulations. I mentioned all the great national exposure that you got yesterday, and I think you've earned it kind of stitch by stitch, we could probably say, over the last many years that you've fought through so many tough times and injuries and everything, but here you are coming back for a 9th season of college football. And let's start out by letting you talk a little bit about that and why your love for the game keeps bringing you back to the college game.
Yeah, first off, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here. Really, the decision to come back for the 9th year was my teammates, obviously, everyone around the University of Miami, the fans, the coaches, the orders, the city, and the university. I've always felt like there's a bigger purpose, and that's to serve others. And me being able to come back and help my teammates, the guys around, and even people that might not be on the team, but somebody that is watching and is, can use my situation, my story to help them. I think that's huge. And that's really, one reason why I wanted to come back is just being able to help others. And because I know adversity is hard, and I mean, I've been through a good amount myself, and I've had to overcome it. And, any little bit of advice that I could give somebody else on this team or in general is going to go a long way. Another reason is Coach Cristobal, the coaching staff. I see what they're building here. I know what they're building here. The long nights and the hustle that these guys are doing make this team back to what it once was. I see the vision, and I feel like I want to be a part of that. The change that he's bringing to the University of Miami. But from the days that I was at Oregon with him and the several coaches on the coaching staff, throughout all my injuries, they were always, by my side. They believed in me. They were loyal to me when they could have easily said, "We don't want you anymore." And they stuck by my side in that. And to me, that speaks volume about who they are and their character. And I felt like it was only right for me to finish my career the way I want to finish it and how I want to finish it. And that's being with Coach Cristobal and the coaching staff and everyone that is involved with this university.
I'm gonna let Matt chime in here in a second, but it's
wow, that was rude.
I just mentioned the name Matt, and you disappeared on us for a second. This is a common occurrence on this show, by the way.
Usually it takes me off, not the special guests.
Matt's a disruptor. But, I think people, they watch college football, they watch college football players, and, we see you guys on Saturday out there playing games. And I think a couple things are invisible. And, that's one is the hard work that you guys put in year round. And the other is that sometimes you're hurt. Football is a physical, tough game. You guys spend a lot of time in the training room during the week trying to get your bodies back ready for the next game. Talk a little bit about what it's like to have so much to look forward to in a college football season and then be hurt.
Yeah, that's definitely tough. I mean, season after season ending injury for me, there's the 5 of them. It's tough because you go through that whole off-season training, right? And in my case, I had went through all the off-season training and even got through spring ball and a little bit through fall camp and a couple of them. And right before, the first game, I started having, complications with the original surgery that I had. And it sidelines you for the whole season, and you're just devastated because you worked so hard throughout the year to get back on the football field and be able to play. And basically, but you really play the game you love, and you're taken away from it. And then you have to switch your mindset to, well, how can I still be the best teammate that I possibly can while having to deal with what I'm dealing with, but then being there for everybody else and not being like, I guess like Debbie Downer because you're, sad that you're not out there. It gets lonely. And that's why, leaning on the people around you, your teammates, the ones that are close to you is huge when you're in these situations, because if it wasn't for the countless number of teammates I had, my family, the coaches, like I wouldn't be sitting here today explaining my situation to you guys.
So just to go through the list so people understand what we're talking about here, you came into college football in 2016. You were redshirted that year, your true freshman year. And then the next year as a redshirt freshman, you played at Oregon. But in 2018, which was supposed to be your sophomore year, you broke your leg and your left ankle. And there were the complications that you just spoke about, which took away your season in 2019. You had to get that repaired. And then in 2020, there were more complications, another surgery, and you had to get that repaired again. You finally made it back to the field in 2021. You played the first game back against Ohio State. Just an absolutely amazing moment for Oregon football. It was the breakthrough game of the Mario Cristobal era at Oregon when you guys went into Ohio State and won that game. And then you tore your Achilles on your other leg in that game. And so your team goes on to this great season. You had to go back to the operating room, had surgery to fix that. Then in 2022, you played a full season with 8 catches for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. And from that point, you came to Miami and decided to continue your career at the U. What inspired you to make that choice?
Spending, those 7 years in Oregon, I felt like I had given Oregon everything I could. Multiple degrees from there. I got my bachelor's in advertising and I got my master's in advertising and brand responsibility. I gave them everything I had, and I felt like I needed to just a change. I needed to move on from Oregon. Also losing a really close friend of mine that was a part of that team at Oregon, Spencer Webb. I felt like, we had talked a lot before his passing, and it was what was always best for my future, and he was always going to support me, and that was a moment where I felt like I needed to move on from Oregon and experience something new. Oregon was close to home for me at the time, and what not a better way to just come across the country, play for University of Miami, Coach Cristobal, the coaching staff that believed in me, was loyal to me when I was at my darkest moments at Oregon. And obviously there's the tradition of the U, Miami, the city of Miami. Like, it's just an amazing place so far in the time that I've been here. And I'm grateful for everyone that has crossed my path and that will cross my path in the near coming future.
Go ahead, Matt. I'm giving you the floor.
Finally. This is how it always is, Cam. I never can talk. He always talks. If I try to talk, he interrupts me. You know, it's I don't recommend you ever watch the show, by the way. You can watch this one, I guess, because you're on it. But otherwise, skip it. But for what I do want to say, I'll make a few statements and I'll ask you a question. That's how I roll. So first of all, you've obviously you've overcome a lot. So I hope fans certainly appreciate that. I'm going to start using your name as an adjective. I'm going to tell I have 2 kids. I'm going to tell them that, doing a McCormick is you can't complain, you just overcome stuff, right? Because that's basically what it seems like you've done. And I'm sure that you've been trending. People are confused if you're a student or professor at this point. Okay, that's mine. I just made that up. That wasn't trending. But one of the things that I did read, it said, quote, Gary hates myself. The lone man, this is what somebody wrote. The lone
He thinks he's a stand-up comedian, Cam. Among other things.
I'm a not funny comedian then. So this is what somebody wrote. The lone man standing between Twitter and nobody on Miami's roster was even alive when the Canes last won a title. Jokes is you, which is true because you were actually alive. I guess you'd have to be 23, right? 23 or 24, and you're 25, right? So you were actually alive when Miami won a title, which is good. No jokes about that for any fans anywhere. And I do want to also say I appreciate getting the chance to talk to you. What was it on Wednesday night? I was at Luca having a nice meal with my family, and it was time to call Cam McCormick, and I really had a great time talking to you because you're so mature. Not just because of your age. I mean, age isn't maturity, but the way you were thoughtful and insightful, and people can see in the story we wrote about you after you announced, you really have a good head about your shoulders. And maybe it's because you've been in college for 9 years. I could barely stand 4 years in college. I don't know how you did 9. One of my sons is ready to leave now. He's a junior. He doesn't even want to do his senior year, So kudos to you for going to class, and I'm sure getting good grades. You have your master's and just expanding your learning base. So now it's time for my question, because when we did talk on Wednesday night, something that struck me that you said, it wasn't about, I want to have this many catches, this many yards. You talked a lot about the team, but what you also talked about is, and I didn't realize you weren't already doing this and you wanted to step up more in that capacity, is leadership. Because I had assumed that, last year, you were an older guy, so I figured you were one of the leaders in the offensive room, but you seem to indicate to me that that's a big missing piece that you really wanted to make sure you have this year. So can you talk about where you feel your leadership skills were last year, maybe where the leadership was in the offense in general last year, and how you want to change it this year? Because that was a big piece you were talking about with me.
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily it wasn't there. My leadership wasn't there last year, which it was. It was just I want to improve that role even more going on to this next season. I think there are at times where I'm not the best vocal leader as I can be, and I know I can be, and I tend to fall back sometimes. And I don't want to have that happen this next year. I don't want to fall back instead of just being that leader and encouraging my guys and pushing my guys to, keep going. Like, there's going to be adversity throughout the game. Let's respond and let's move on from it. So yeah, it wasn't that it wasn't there. It was just, I think that I want to improve myself and improve that as a whole moving on to the next season.
And just as a follow, I mean, were there a lot of guys who were vocal enough last year? Do you feel there's a gap with some of the guys that left where you now have to take that on, or like sort of where's it coming from and where's it going to, sort of in the big?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a big gap from last year to this year at all. There's plenty of vocal leaders on this team. It's just, as myself as a person, that's where I want to grow. So moving forward, there's plenty of people who are speaking up and who are vocal, who are leaders even on this team. I'm a leader on this team, and every year round, we go around, we talk about, things that people can improve on. And that's what I want to be held accountable to from my teammates, is being the best leader that I could possibly be, because I've been around the game for a while. I know how the ups and downs of games in college football and injuries and whatnot. So, moving forward to the next year is just continuing to push the guys encourage the guys and show them that like adversity happens, and it's about how we respond in the tough situations.
See, Gary, I told you, he's been in college for 9 years. You can tell, right?
100%. You know, Cam, I mentioned a few times now that this is really, when you get to the core of it, a remarkable story in college football right now, because you just don't see somebody want to be in college football for 9 years and to be devoted to his teammates and the program the way you are. I mean, you've got 2 college degrees. Okay. Yep. You could go get a job. You could start your career. You know, you've been through all these injuries. You've been beaten up and stuff playing football. It's like you could say, I've had enough. I'm going to go and start a normal life. And so this is really, I mean, this is a story to be celebrated for many different ways. And the truth of the matter is people don't even know half of it. And so my goal with you being on the show this morning is I want people to really get the feel of this story, because it is really out of this world. And I've got somebody in the lobby right now who's going to help us a little bit in telling that story. And I think it's going to bring a different perspective to it. And I think you will recognize.
Hi, honey.
Why did I have a feeling on it?
Hi. Good to see you.
McCormick, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Surprise, Cam.
So, you know, in the last few days, I've gotten to know a little bit more of the story. And I'm like, wow, this is like really something. And the people that Cam's working with are making a documentary and doing some different projects to try to get Cam out there a little bit more as a positive example, a role model, you know, a leader, like, you know, what he's doing at Miami. And, you know, the beginnings of this story are an absolute celebration, which was what I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about. I hope it's okay in saying you were a single mom. You raised Cam as a single mom, and which is amazingly tough, you know, just on the face value of that. And, you know, now he's sitting here 26 years later.
25.
25 years later. I'm sorry.
Okay, don't be aging me. I'm old enough.
But I mean, you know, you were just watching how eloquent he is. I mean, how impressive he is. Can you just take the floor for a few minutes and just take us through the life of Cam McCormick and how he's gotten to this spot here today?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, as you said, you know, his father and I divorced when he was like 2 years old. And his father was in his life in the beginning. And then, you know, they kind of lost contact when he became like a teenager. And so I did raise him by myself. However, like I said, his father was there, but even when he was there, like I had moved Cam across the country, so it was limited, you know what I mean? But that was my doing, so that I'll take ownership over that. Yeah, Cam's always been, you know, he's been a good kid, very, very active when he was younger. Gave me a little bit of a hard time, but I knew, because, you know, my father was very tall and I knew he was going to be 6'5" or close to it. I don't know. I just always thought he was. And I thought, geez, being a single mom, I have to be tough. So I was pretty tough on Cameron. I think I still am. No, he was good. He's always been good. Struggled a little bit in school during his early years. And that's when we found out that he had that auditory processing disorder. I don't know if you've talked about that or not.
We haven't, but we will. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we found out that he had an auditory processing disorder. And what that does is it mimics some of the symptoms of ADHD, right? Because what it is when he hears things, it goes in his ear, but his brain doesn't process it exactly the way somebody's saying it. So like tones, like the tones of someone's voice, how loud they speak, if there's a lot of distractions going on in the room, like he can't really process that. Like you and I were talking right now, and if a fire truck were to drive by, we could continue our conversation. But for Cameron, when that fire truck drives by, it's not in the background, it's all in the forefront. So, he's had to really learn to overcome that. And, look, these colleges have given him the tools and resources that he needed in order to be successful in the classroom. If it wasn't for football, I don't know if he ever would have gone to college, to be perfectly honest with you. It wasn't his favorite thing, but football was his favorite thing. And he knew if he wanted to play football, he had to do well in school. So he ended up graduating high school a semester early. And then he went to Oregon and he graduated with his undergrad in 3.5 years while playing football and while overcoming these injuries that he had, which were tremendous. And then he went on to get his master's, and he's the first one in our family. So I'm super proud of him. Yeah. Especially with that auditory processing disorder. He had to have people help him, like with note taking. He needs extra time on tests. Because he's more of a visual learner and people need to explain things to him, but he's found a way to overcome all of it. And that's why I'm super proud of him.
So he's got the degree in journalism. He's got a master's in advertising and brand responsibility. Cam, as a student, what was that like for you to, have to deal with a disorder that obviously you had no control over, and fight through that and go through college like any other student and get those degrees?
Yeah. I felt like in the beginning, I didn't want to use the help and the resources. I was like, oh, I'm tough. I don't need to use these resources. I can handle this. And then I realized that I should be using these resources because it's only going to help benefit me, get me to get my degree. And it wasn't easy. It was hard. Like my mom said, there were long nights and days where it was a grind, a struggle to go through school. But I'm so fortunate and blessed that I had those opportunities to be able to get my undergrad or my bachelor's and my master's, because like my mom said, I would never probably have went to college if it wasn't for, the help and the guidance from my mom and everyone around me to, keep me pushing and keep me going to, keep grinding through school.
How does that impact you in football, though? The learning, the constant coaching that you're receiving.
Yeah, I think over the years, the coaches have obviously had to adapt a little bit to the style of coaching that they present me with. But while playing football games, I think the disorder is. I've learned certain techniques. There's just like certain things to like help me focus on, like, when we're out there and we're in, like, say, for example, we're in Columbus, Ohio, and we're getting the play call and it's so loud that I can't hear the quarterback. Like, I really have to be in tune with who's speaking and whose voice I'm trying to hear in order to really get the play across, because it is, like she said, those noises are at the forefront. So it's like I almost have to pay like extra attention to like what quarterback's voice is out there and what the person next to me is saying, so I can like really lock in and be performing at my best.
And has the experience that you've gone through given you this inclination to help other people? I mean, just to mention some of the things you've done, you took a trip to Uganda and you helped to bring a war-torn village together by building a basketball court. I mean, just an unbelievable thing to do. Obviously, you assist underprivileged children. You've made donations to charities. You made a donation recently to a school called Gallaudet College, where the entire football team is deaf. And you took on that cause and took money out of your pocket, which, I mean, you are a college student. It's not, it's something that college students are able to do very easily. You took money out of your pocket and you donated it to Gallaudet College because they have a football team made up of entirely deaf players. And you obviously felt a connection there. So the experiences you've been through, and I'm sure the injuries and battling back from them is part of that, seems to have molded you into somebody that just wants to give back to other people.
Correct. Yeah. I feel like through all this, I love being able to help people who've had to overcome adversity, because I feel like I can really relate to those people. Obviously with everything that I've had to overcome, and even everywhere that I've had to, I've worked with and helped. It's everyone who's had to overcome adversity. And to me, that's huge, because there's a bigger purpose in life, and that's to serve others, and being able to be there for everybody and help them in any way I possibly could have is everything that I wanted to do. And I want to do, I would do it all over again. And I'm going to continue to keep doing it as long as I'm here on this earth.
So Deb, we talked a lot about his injuries earlier in the show, and he's been through so much. I mean, it's just a reason why he's going into year 9, because of all the pains that he's been through over the course of these 9 years. What was that like for you as a mom? Moms, they take care of their sons. I mean, to watch him in operating rooms and with casts on his leg and all the other things he's been through. What was that like for you?
You're going to get me emotional. It was very difficult. It was a hard time in our life. Look, we went into this not expecting him to be in football for 9 years at the collegiate level. I don't think anybody plans on that, nor do they really want that. But because of all of his injuries, and really, it's not that he's had a ton of injuries, but there were complications due to some of those surgeries, right? So he had to, that kept him out additional years. But it was some dark times. And as a mom, I felt helpless because I wanted to help. I wanted to be there, but I was through a lot of it. But yeah, it was difficult, because as it went on and on, I was running out of things to say to keep him motivated and positive, right? But somehow we got through, and we got through because of all the support we've received from everybody along the way. The fan bases, the trainers, the coaches, the doctors. We were so fortunate to get in touch with Bob Anderson out of Green Bay. He's the Green Bay Packers doctor, and he works on a lot of professionals, and he really changed Cameron's life. Like, we owe him everything, because when we went there that Christmas, Cameron, I don't even remember the year now. Maybe you can help me. But yeah, 2020, when we went there during COVID, flew there around Christmas time. We didn't even know, our goal was just to get Cameron to walk normal. We didn't think, like, we thought football was done for him. And when we went and we talked to him, like, he's like almost laughed at us respectfully, but was like, oh no, he'll be playing in 6 months. He'll be good to go. We're like, what? And sure enough, he was, everything Dr. Anderson told us, it came to fruition. And I can't thank him enough, getting Cam right. So yeah, it's been difficult. It's been a hard journey. But we're grateful for it, and Cameron's strong. He persevered. He made it easier for me, because when I was at my weak point, he'd be, pulling me up, when it should be the other way around. But then when he was down, I was stronger. You know what I mean? So we just make a good team. Like you said earlier, it's been us his whole life, me and him. We're thick as thieves, partners in crime, and I'll do anything for him. So, but I'm super proud of him. And that's what a lot of fans don't know, especially the Miami fans, right? They don't know his story, and they'll read a headline and be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But like the Oregon fans, they went through it with us, right?
Right.
They were up, they were down, they were up, they were down. So I appreciate you having us on so he can explain that more, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know the story until 2 days ago, and
Oh,
the more I heard about the story, I'm like everybody needs to hear this story, which
Yeah.
is why we wrote the story that was on our website today, why we're doing this show right now. This is a story worth telling. This is a celebration of overcoming a lot of different things, and in life and on the football field. And Matt, I don't want to leave you out of this conversation. You're a parent. Like you're a parent like Deb, and you try to instill the similar type of values in your kids. When you hear this story, and I know you're hearing a lot of it for the first time right now on this show also, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine, I mean, I guess I'm glad that I don't have anything to compare to Cam's injuries and struggles and, all the other things. But yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable story. And actually, Deb, what I wanted to ask you, to provide some levity, right? Because it's a tough story to hear for fans and as a parent to talk about it. So, I don't know if you have a favorite story about Cam as a kid, a funny story, or even just how it came about that he started playing football in the first place, if he was good or bad right away on the football field, what positions he played, whatever. I mean,
I do have a funny story now that you mention it, because at first my mind was racing. No, but so he played football when he started playing football when he was 8 years old. As I said earlier, I moved him from Arizona to Williams Township, Pennsylvania. And it was a very small community, but they had Pop Warner and so we got him involved when he was 8. Him and his father and I decided we wanted to wait until he was 8. And then, I got him involved in football, and he played for a few years. Then we moved back to Arizona, and at that time in Arizona, you couldn't play tackle football until you were at the high school level. So it was just flag football in middle school, right? So then we moved to Oregon, and he's entering his 9th grade year. He didn't know anybody. And we moved in the summer, like in May after the school year ended, and there was football practice. So, we pulled up to the football field. He knew nobody. And he's like, I'm not going. And I'm like, yes, you are. He's like, no, I don't like football. I don't want to play football. I'm good. I don't want, he'd been playing since he was 8 years old, but he was trying to convince me that he was okay. And he didn't want to, but he was just scared because he knew nobody. He had to walk down to that football field all by himself with all the, seniors, juniors, sophomores, and he was really scrawny, then he was like little spaghetti arms, but so that was kind of funny because he was trying to convince me he didn't like it. And then now it's like the best thing that's ever happened to him, but had I not pushed him, because some parents, they say, okay, no, he doesn't want to do it. Let's not force him. But I knew that he really liked it. So I forced him to do it. And then one other story, when we went to Oregon on an official visit, he was 6'5". I think he weighed like probably 225 at the time. So, very slender, arms very little. So we're standing there, and we're standing in the tunnel, and the football players come down. And I don't know if you guys know who Pharaoh Brown is, but he's in the NFL now. And he was just huge and massive. His arms were huge. And Cam turns and looks at me, and he goes, are my arms ever going to get that big? Like, yes, they will. But it was just funny, I think he was a junior at the time. So I don't know, a little bit funny, but.
That's great. Yeah, Cam, you remember your mom forcing you to play football that year or not?
Now that she tells me says the story again, I do remember that pretty vividly.
Yeah, he was crying too.
I mean, as parents, I've been there. Okay, I've been there numerous times. It's not a one-off, Cam. All our kids are like that. We all have those moments. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
Well, he was just scared. And I'm like, you got to face your fear. Like, get out there. You'll be fine. And then he had a blast. It was so much fun. And, he was glad that I did it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. So,
You talk about fear and, through all those injuries, there had to be a lot of fear involved. What kept you going? Did you ever feel like quitting?
Yeah, during that COVID season was the lowest I've probably ever been in my life. And I was in a really dark place. I remember after the practice where, because I was trying to, play on this injury that I had during the COVID season, because I was like, I just want to play. Like, I just want to play football. I want to feel what it's like to play. So I was trying to push through it. And I remember one practice I went out there and I was doing some movement on the football field, and I felt a pop in my ankle, and I was like, I was like, I don't know what it is. I don't know how bad it is. I just knew it hurt. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I'm done. Like, I remember calling my mom on the phone after that practice, and I was just bawling, crying. Like, I'm ready to be done with football. Like, it's too much. Like, it hurts. I can't. Every day I'm in pain. Like, there's not one day I wake up and I laying in bed, I was hurting. Like, everything I was doing, my foot, my ankle, like, it was just hurting. Like, I could never feel like I could escape the pain. And I was like, I just want to figure out what's wrong with this. I want to get it fixed. And I was like, I don't want to play anymore. And then when I was able to go see Bob Anderson in Green Bay, and he had told us that news, it kind of gave me like the light at the end of the tunnel. And I was like, I'm ready to try this again. And I had never told anybody that I wanted to quit. Like, it was just a conversation between me and my mom. Like, I felt like I wanted to do that, but I knew deep down inside me that I'm not a quitter, and I'm not like, I didn't think I could quit. And I think even on the phone call with her, it was like, I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to finish this as it is, and we'll go from there. Like, I want to finish what I've started, and whether that be I don't ever play again, great. Or if I'm able to get back on the field and play again, even better. And going to see Bob Anderson was that spark, that fire, that light at the end of the tunnel that I saw to want to keep going. And now, I mean, after that season, I tore my Achilles, but that little enough spark that got me to be able to play against Ohio State was then a little bit more and just enough for me to say, I can do this one more time. The Achilles surgery is not going to be anything, I haven't seen before. And honestly, I think the Achilles was probably the easiest recovery process that I've had to go through. But, then I was able to play all of 2022, play all of 2023. And now we're here, and I'm looking back, I'm so fortunate and grateful that I didn't decide to quit and go against who I am. And that value of not quitting is, I'm glad that I was able to stick through it and see it through. And now I'm where I am today.
Dad, did you have to be like a rock? Did you have to go like a mom is always a rock?
A boulder. I think I had to be a boulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. Finish your question.
No, that's my question. Like, what were those darkest moments like?
Dark. Like, I don't even like to think about it. It gives me a little bit of PTSD when I do think about it and talk about it. Like the first injury, it was disappointing. We were upset. He worked really hard to earn that starting spot as a redshirt sophomore. And he put in all that time and everything. And then like in the first game to get rolled up on, it stunk, but we got through it, and then like the second thing, then he had complications from the hardware. I don't know if he told you, but like the anchor went halfway through his bone. And he was still running on it and everything. Like, he still pushed through it. He had a fractured, ankle, but he thought it was just tendonitis or something. So he kept pushing through it. And then, okay, so then he was out the second season, and then that third season, like that 2020, like he's talking about, it was it was rough because, it was COVID too. So we were all isolated. We were scared. There was all this unknown out there in the world. And then Cameron's, just not doing well at all. He can't walk. And we thought it was maybe tendonitis again. And lo and behold, it was that screws that they put in his ankle to replace the anchor. It shredded his tendon. Like it shredded it like a piece of chicken. And I saw it. It was disgusting. And it was hard because like the trip to Green Bay really, like I lost it. I did. After he had his surgery, because I was by myself. It was in the middle of winter, and COVID and everything. And he was in surgery for 2.5 hours, which it was only supposed to be an hour. So I was worried. I couldn't go into the hospital because of COVID. I had to sit out in the car, and getting him into the hotel, it's not easy. He's 6'5", 260 pounds. And I'm trying to get him into the hotel, get him in the wheelchair. And it's so windy, like the door blew shut on his leg. And I was like, oh my God. I was just like, I got in the car after I got him upstairs, came back down, and I lost it. Like I lost it. And honestly, Coach Cristobal called me, he FaceTimed me, and I lost it with him, but tried to keep my composure. And then called my sister, and she's called my husband and was like, we have to drive there and go be there with Debbie. Like I was at my wit's end, it was just hard. And then we had to fly back on Christmas Day, 2 days after his surgery. And I was so worried about him, and he was in pain, but he was trying to be strong for me. And it was nuts. It was grueling as a parent to watch your son, because as a parent, we want to take our children's pain away.
Mm-hmm.
If we can do one thing in this world, we want to carry their burdens, take away their pain, and let them live a happy life. And that's all I wanted. But I felt super helpless because I couldn't do it. I did everything I could, but that was one thing I couldn't do. And it was horrible.
You mentioned Mario and that experience with Mario. How much did that contribute? And the time, obviously, over the couple of years at Oregon, how much did that contribute to the Miami magnet pulling you guys across the country when Mario took the job at Miami?
Do you want me to answer that, or do you want Cam to?
Yeah, you answer this. Yeah,
in my opinion, it was everything. That's why we came to Miami. It was because of Coach Cristobal and other people on the staff, right? Like we know Coach Cristobal, Coach Field, Coach Feld, Coach Eaton, Coach Woodle, their wives, because we all got really close at Oregon, and Coach Mirabal, gosh, I forgot about him and his wife. Like, I don't want to leave anybody out. So I apologize if I do. It's not intentional, but that was the draw, because they knew his story. They knew him as a player. Like, that was a big draw. And then of course, Miami alone, Cameron was really looking for something completely different than what he had in Eugene, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to Eugene. I mean, it's a great place, but it's like the total opposite of Miami. You know what I mean? And he wanted to experience different cultures. He wanted to experience diversity, and that's exactly what Miami has given him. And the fans, I think, are even more passionate than Oregon, although it's a pretty close tie. Like they're pretty passionate at Oregon too, but it's just been great. Like I went to my first game I went to the first 3 home games in the beginning of the season, and then I went back for Clemson and it Virginia? Yeah, Virginia Tech or something. Anyway, and oh my gosh, it's great. Like the tailgating and I mean, they take it to another level. Like, I thought Oregon was great with their tailgating, but wow, Miami was crazy. And the stadium's awesome. I don't know. It's just a great experience. I love it. I love it. I wish I could go to every game. It's far, it's expensive, but I would be at every game if I could.
So who talked to him into this thing? Cam, did you have to work on mom and say, let me go to Miami? Or did mom say you should go to Miami?
I mean, ultimately it was my decision. Obviously she was able to give me advice and help guide me along the way. But, it was me basically, saying that I wanted to, everything she covered is basically just experience some change. And so I did, and I've been enjoying it every second of it that I've been out here.
All right, Deb. Well, we're going to talk some ball with Cam here in a minute, but just as a final thought, as a mom that's watched him go through this for 8 years, you're all in on year number 9.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Hell yeah, bring it on. Let's do this. Like, honestly, I'm super excited about next season. I'm actually glad he had one more year of eligibility because I love what Mario Cristobal's doing, and we believe in what he's doing. And I think he's putting together a really nice team. And heck yeah, I want Cam to be a part of it. I really think big things are going to happen. So yeah, I'm all for it. I completely support Cameron's decision. And look, I guide him along the way, but I always tell him at the end of the day, it's always your decision. Like, I'm going to go over pros and cons, but you got to make the decision. So and he wanted to come back. So let's do this, And I already looked at the schedule, and I think there's like a period where there's 4 home games, like back to back. Is that right? Am I right?
I don't know if they've come out with the ACC dates yet. Have they?
Wasn't there, Cameron? Isn't like in the middle of the season, something like
we don't know yet because they haven't assigned dates to the games.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm coming for the long stretch. So even if I, and I stay with Cameron, poor guy, but I'm going to cramp his style for about a month and go if that's the case, if there's that many home games. But yeah, I can't wait.
Well, I know one guy that's going to be voting for his mom for mom of, I'm not even going to say of the year, of the century. And, just listening to you guys, you could see the love that you guys have for each other. And it's just amazing that, the way that you both have been there for each other. So we congratulate you on that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us on the show and telling your side of that story. It's really been enlightening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. Cam, it was good seeing you.
Say bye, Mom.
Bye, honey.
Thank you. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, you're welcome. Do I just disconnect?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, you can do whatever you want. Yeah. But I didn't want to tell her she had to hang up. She might want to watch the rest of the show from that. All right. So Cam, let's talk a little bit of ball here. Big year coming up for the offense. You got Cam Ward coming in, which was everything, in my opinion. I mean, it just breathed life into the whole situation. Not that, Emery and Judd and Jakari are all obviously good players in their own right. This guy was one of the top quarterbacks in college football last year, and he's proven it over time, and he should create an entirely different outlook on this next season.
Yeah, 100%. I think every quarterback in the room, Cam, Jakari, Emery, Judd, Reese, those are all guys that can lead this team to something special. They're all dedicated. They're hardworking. They're good leaders, and everyone has their back. So I'm super grateful, super excited for the opportunities that myself, the team are going to be blessed with playing behind those guys. And I can't wait to see, the 2024 Miami Hurricanes in action in spring and see, what the future for this team is going to hold.
Go ahead, Matt.
All right.
I feel like we've put a muzzle on you.
Whatever. What a great story. I don't care if I don't ask any questions. I love listening to this. I mean, When's the last time we had a player and his mom on the show? I mean, it's fantastic. It's like listening to it's like a superhero prequel story. It's like instead of Iron Man, it's Iron Cam, who had little skinny arms, and they transformed into these giant monster arms overnight. Well, not overnight, but over a course of a few years. But yeah, I mean, I would just ask about the tight ends room in general. You're back. Elijah should hopefully be healthy. Riley got some experience. Jackson Carver redshirted to get bigger and stronger and faster and all that good stuff. You got another Elijah coming in. So, how confident are you in the tight ends room, depth, talent? Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm super confident in the talent in the room. Every guy in there is an exceptional tight end, and they're hardworking. They're selfless. They care more about, each other, everyone else in the room's success over their own. And, as a leader in the tight end room, that's kind of what I try and instill in the room, is just like, be selfless, like, for your guys in this room. Because if team success is going to go much farther than individual success. And I try and preach that even with the team. Like, the farther the team goes, the better accolades you're going to have as a player, and the farther we're going to go as a team, and more people are going to notice you as the player. But looking forward to next year with the group of tight ends that we have. We're a super close room. I'm fortunate for them because it's like a second family, away from your family. We're close, and I'm excited to see what we can actually do next year. I know it's probably not a lot this past season wasn't what everybody wanted, but it is what it is, and that's all right. We were okay with what it was, and moving forward, we're going to do what we can to, show everybody that there is a tight ends room on this team, and we're very valuable outside of just, catching the football, because I know that's a big question, where we were non-existent last year catching the football, which, stats and the things don't lie, but we were also very valuable in other parts of the game.
Well,
that go unnoticed too, because everyone just wants to see tight ends catching the football and scoring touchdowns, but there's a lot that goes into the offensive line. Like, I take pride in being an extended part of the offensive line and run game, and a lot of the guys in the room do. They enjoy that, and that's something that people overlook, is like, hey, how did the tight ends block in the run game and pass protection and things like that? Like, there's more than just catching the football when we're out there.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. There was a play early in the season. I'm going to throw it up here right now, real quick, where you caught a pass over the middle and just leveled the DB. And I'm thinking, man, who said Cam McCormick is just a blocking tight end? I was thinking this is the first of many to come. And for whatever reason, we didn't see a lot of it last year. And I know that there is going to be a concerted effort to change that this coming season. It has to. You guys have too much talent in that tight end room. But what do you think about this label that you're a blocking tight end?
I like to refrain from commenting on that, but I think it's stupid. I'm a team player, and I'll do whatever the team needs me to do in order to win games. Because ultimately, I want to win football games. That's what I care about doing, is winning football games. So if that's catching the ball for as many times as they need me to catch it in a season, then I'm going to do it. If it's running, if it's blocking, then I'm going to do it. If it's in pass protection, I'm going to do it. I just want to see the team succeed. So I'm capable of doing everything. It's whether or not we're putting the opportunities to make those plays and what the game plan is for the week. So, and that goes for everyone in the room. We all want to catch the football. Like, believe me, I want to catch the football. If that's me being, selfish, like, I want to catch the football every play. That would be amazing. But that's just not how football goes. It's a team sport, and there's 11 people that are on the field at one time, and 5 people who can touch the football. So, the love's got to be spread around. So, your time is going to come, and you got to stay ready to make the play when your time is called.
Well, Matt, I think we can both be in agreement that we're fired up to watch year 9. I know I am. I'm love your mom. Your mom, is obviously just an amazing lady, and this whole story is incredible. And maybe it took 9 years, which is fine, but I think in year 9, people are going to be getting to know you a little bit better, and I think it's going to make people better for it because everybody has struggles. Matt has a lot of struggles. Just to be totally honest, I have to guide him through those every single day. But we all have struggles that we have to fight through, and you're living proof that you can fight through whatever obstacles get thrown your way. And it's an amazing story of perseverance. We congratulate you for it. Thank you so much for being part of our show today. Thank your mom for us, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon down the road, and look forward to every minute of it.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. It was awesome.
All righty, Cam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cam McCormick, everybody. Wow.
That's crazy. 9 years ago, you were only 82 years old 9 years ago. That's a long time ago, man.
That was powerful stuff. I hope you guys out there enjoyed it. I mean, I know this is a little bit of a different Good Morning CaneSport show than what we usually have, but it's.
And by the way, who do you think you were asking him if he's a blocking tight end? What's the matter with you?
Well, he's labeled a blocking tight end.
I know, but you know how many times he's been asked that? The poor guy. He's been through enough, Gary. He's been through enough.
No, but my point of the whole thing, if you paid attention, was that when you watch this, this is just one play. Look how good he looked on that play as a receiving tight end. Right. I mean,
look, I mean, part of it obviously was the tight ends. Part of it was the offense. Like he said, you're not going to have every play called for you. For whatever reason, there wasn't. I don't know if it was on Tyler Van Dyke, on Shannon Dawson. The tight ends never seemed like a first read ever the whole year. So whether that was because Shannon Dawson felt the tight ends shouldn't be or couldn't be receiving tight ends, whatever it was, there was a disconnect for sure in the offense between the tight ends and the passing offense. I think it changes this year. I think it has to because, for a fully operational offense under Cam Ward, especially with only one real top receiver that's back, in terms of consistency, I think you have to get the tight ends involved. That's a very talented tight ends room. Whether you want to think Cam McCormick is a blocking tight end or not, there's other guys in that room too, and Cam certainly can block. He's 25 years old. He's playing against 18 and 19-year-olds. Like, he should be able to do pretty well at whatever he wants to do. Just like if Gary was playing Mahjong against a bunch of 70-year-olds, he's got a 10-year advantage in knowledge on them. So it's like the same thing.
Well, the Cam McCormick story is not the only thing on the website this morning. We got a really, 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 really cool story for you guys. You know about the commitment of Michelle Powell from Washington.
That's not how you say his name. And no one's still watching. It's already an hour into the show anyway.
Oh, there's anybody. They're watching. That was such an interesting story.
Yeah, but once you got rid of them, they're like, that's it. They're done.
Well, now they got to listen to you. But, okay, what's the correct pronunciation, first of all?
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Mishael.
Okay, Michelle Powell.
I gotta say it a little quicker than that. I just can't say it. I just call him Mish. Everyone calls him Mish.
Wow, I have a hard time with
Michelle.
But Michelle. Okay, so phenomenal commitment, man. We haven't really had a show to talk about it, so let's talk about it right now. I love this pickup. He's a kid that started for a team that went to the national championship game last year at a position, quite frankly, where there's not a lot of experience with James Williams and Cam Kinchens leaving. I think that this just totally flipped the script immediately for Miami, and we'll see who ends up starting at the other safety position. But this is a huge pickup. I mean, we talk a lot about Cam Ward, and there's nothing bigger than getting Cam Ward to play quarterback next year. But on the defensive side of the ball, Matt, this is pretty massive.
I mean, you love every pickup. So
no, I don't love every pickup. This is a free agent. Okay?
We need depth. We need backups who play 10 reps.
They don't have enough impact talent on this football team. This guy makes them better the second he steps on campus.
God forbid I do my impression of you. You have to interrupt me. Every team needs third teamers. Every team needs second teamers who play 20 reps a year. That's what you used to say. You'd be like, what do they do with no depth? They need guys who do nothing. Play practice. We need practice guys. You would
Okay.
say that. Literally, that's what you say to me.
That was awesome. Now, will you please tell us if you like the pickup?
I do. I already listed my free agents on the message board. He's one of them.
Good. All right. So, yeah, it does make the secondary better, but even better than that was, and I can't believe I have to actually compliment him now, but when Matt was talking to Michel, I hope I said it right, he came up with the idea, you know what? This guy played against Cam Ward a couple times. Let's get his review of Cam Ward. Phenomenal idea. Doesn't happen often, but I got to give him credit on this one. And that great story is on the website this morning as well. And Matt, give us a little synopsis from your eyes, how he feels about Cam Ward and how that maybe shapes your opinion of Cam Ward.
Well, he doesn't think much of Cam Ward because he compared him to some USC quarterback. So, I mean, how good can he be? I didn't look up the guy. I think his name was something like Caleb Williams. So, yeah, when Washington was preparing to play USC, I think it was 3 or 4 games before they played Cam Ward in Washington State in the season finale. This past season, the Washington coaches told the defense that they were going to basically prepare like they were facing Caleb Williams because they felt both those quarterbacks had very similar characteristics in terms of accuracy, downfield passing ability. Obviously, Cam has escapability. So I thought that was interesting considering that, Caleb is probably going to be the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. And Washington, which was a national title game, whose coaches seem to know what they're doing, right? I think they may have gone to Alabama or something like that. Like, they told their players, we're doing the same preparation as we just did 3 or 4 games ago for the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. So that really tells you everything you need to know. There's more in the story detail-wise about it. But yeah, I mean, this is why I said, and you disagreed with me. I said Cam Ward was head and shoulders above every other quarterback in the portal. I stand by it. Ferman, of course, disagrees.
No,
and
I didn't
whatever. You disagreed with me yesterday.
I would have been okay. I think I would have been okay with Will Howard. I think I would have been okay with that.
You were making fun of me for saying there were 5s and 2s compared to Cam Ward. You're making fun of me for it. I said Cam Ward's a 10. These guys were 2s and 5s.
Yeah, you did say that. I would have been okay with Will Howard. Talia, I don't know.
You liked Will Rogers. You liked Will Howard. You liked them all.
Will Rogers was okay. Yeah. I like Will Howard the best of all those guys.
Well, whatever. I mean, it's not even to me. It's not even close. None of those guys. Those guys aren't coming back because they're going to be a top 20 pick in the NFL draft. Those guys are coming back because they weren't going to be drafted pretty much high at all. Cam Ward probably could have snuck into the 3rd round of the draft, if not higher. He was by far the highest rated quarterback of guys who actually returned to college. And he's very, very good chance of him being a 1st rounder a year from now. I mean, as long as he has a good season. And he could be a top 10, 20 pick based on, people you talk to. Like, he was supposed to be a 1st rounder, until he really didn't improve as much on things that NFL people wanted to see this past year. He almost went into the NFL draft before this past season, okay? He strongly considered it. But the idea was he was going to be a 1st rounder after last year. That didn't happen, so now he's trying to do it again. But obviously the talent is there. That's why he was supposed to be a 1st rounder. He just has to be able to show it in a little bit of a different system, which is what he'll be able to do this year, I think.
Whole nother level of anticipation for this season coming up. There's no doubt about it.
Well, you said Tyler Van Dyke's going to go in the top 10 picks next year's draft too, right? So
I did not say that, but I do think Tyler Van Dyke, if he stays healthy with Phil Longo.
I know it was a trap question. Don't get yourself in trouble.
No, I think he can have a very good season.
Yeah, we know.
I really do. And you'll be a part of it because your son goes to school there, and we'll be cheering like a maniac in the stands. All right, a couple other things to talk about here before we let you go. I know this is a little bit of a long show. Our 30 for 30 series continues. We're having to adjust it a little bit with these late transfer portal additions. Today we're at number 14 with a tie between wide receiver Isaiah Horton and new defensive end Elijah Alston. But the fact that we're taking transfer portal guys and putting them this high, which they deserve to be, I think backs up what we've been saying, that this is a team that needed this talent injection. And I like the fact that the numbers are tighter in the transfer portal this year, but there does seem to be quality, which is good. I think the team is getting better by these additions, and so we've got that on the website for you to take a look at. We've got a couple recruiting updates on one on 2025 4-star defensive lineman Myron Charles. He will be coming down January 27th. You guys that love to follow recruiting, circle January 27th on your calendar. It is going to be Junior Day at Miami. The list that is building for that day of kids that are going to be on campus is off the charts. Going to be amazing. And also that weekend, there's the Battle 7-on-7 tournament. So there's going to be a lot of 7-on-7 players from around the country in South Florida that weekend as well that will be visiting Miami. So big recruiting weekend coming up next weekend. We also have an update today with IMG Academy 4-star linebacker Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. He's got 40 offers right now. Okay. He's looking to cut it down, getting a little overwhelming. He likes the Miami Hurricanes. We think the Hurricanes will fit just nicely when he makes that cut. But you can get an update on him, see where he's at in his process. We also catch up with Charlotte, North Carolina, Providence Day School 4-star 2026 offensive tackle Leo Delaney. Yes, 2026 recruiting is kicking in along with 2025 recruiting. 2026 offers are going out to players. 2025 players are getting visits right now from coaches, including Mario Cristobal. A lot going on in recruiting. We're keeping up with it the best we can, and you've got those updates and more to look at on the website as well. But that's going to do it for this morning for Good Morning CaneSport. For those of you that stayed with us the duration, we appreciate that. And we appreciate you beginning your day with us. If you like the show, like this channel, and you're on YouTube right now, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It helps us with the algorithms and growing our audience. And if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, let me throw this special up on the screen for you. You can use the code CANES1 when you sign up, and you will get 2 months, your first 2 months for $1, and then hopefully you will stay with us forever after that. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you again. We want to also thank Cam McCormick and his mom, Deb, for joining us today, and we will see you next time, everybody. Have a great
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention?